All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah LaRue. Happy GIS Day. So my presentation is going to be on how we use GIS technology at the Harris County Appraisal District. And I actually started as an intern at HCAD and now work there full time. So that is just, I'm an example of what your journey could be. I highly recommend looking for an internship somewhere that interests you because usually it can turn into a career for you, like it did for me. So also at HCAD, they have a lot of professional development support and opportunities. And I'm really appreciative of that because I can continue learning even after school. So that was really cool for me. And so I'm going to use a story map to tell you about how we use GIS at the appraisal district. So what we do is we determine the values for property in Harris County. That's what our appraisers do. And what we do as the GIS team is support that process. So we are made up of 11 mapping specialists, which is one of them is me. And then we have 5 analysts that help make the appraisal process more efficient and just better all the way around. So I just want to highlight some of the applications that we have created that we use on a daily basis. So one is GIS Web, and that is an internal application that we use throughout the district. So every division uses this in different ways. And we are actually working on a new version, which is what you see here in purple. And this is the current version. So that is just one of the fun things the analysts get to do is update these applications and make them better and better as time goes on. And I'm using the slider capabilities of the story map to show you a side-by-side comparison. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of story maps today, and that's one of my favorite things. So another thing that we use GIS Web for is to see what properties are actually located in Harris County. And some of them may be only partially in our county. So we look at the map to determine where the properties are located. And we also use the map to determine which jurisdiction they're in. So I know you guys probably don't pay property taxes, but if you did, you would see each jurisdiction that taxes you. And so here, the purple SD, that's the ISDs, the school districts, and the green JC, that's the college district. So if you're on either side of those lines, you would be in a different jurisdiction. Some other ways that we use it, we have an identify tool where you can simply click on the property and you might be in multiple jurisdictions at once. So this pop-up when you use the identify tool will show you the list of jurisdictions you're in. So that is something that we use it for every day. We also use measuring tools. A property may be split by 2 different jurisdictions. Here we have Humble ISD and Sheldon ISD, and we can use measuring tools to determine just how much of that building or that property is in each jurisdiction. So then we also use the aerial imagery on GIS Web to look for new property. So here you can see this is an aerial image from 2016. And when we compare it to the aerials from 2018, you can see the buildings have been developed. So aerial imagery is really cool way to just look at the area and find new property. And we have a lot of different ways that we use aerial imagery, which is one of my favorites. So another way that we use it is through our problem resolution section. So they process changes or corrections to the inventory of real property. So if you sell your property or you want to split your property in half or combine two properties together, you will submit a request to them and they will send it to the GIS team. And we actually use ArcGIS Pro to map all of the changes, and then it will show up here on our application called GIS Web. And the problem resolution section helps us make sure that those changes are carried over correctly. So here we see the property is shown as 1 in blue, and they received a request to split the property into 2 accounts. And after we make those changes in ArcGIS Pro, you can see we split it here into 2 different properties with the split line right there. So, and then the new property is assigned a new account number for the new owner. Deed Drafter is another application that we utilize. One major way that we map properties is through meets and bounds and coordinate geometry. So this is a really good tool to identify where something is by the meets and bounds. So what are meets and bounds? These are a description of a property that is typically found in deeds and surveys. And so we'll take that information and enter it here into the parcel entry tool. And it can give them a visual representation of the property on the map. And so they don't even have GIS in their title. And I really want to point this out, that they still use GIS technology, even though they are not a GIS person, which I think is really important for people to understand that GIS is everywhere. And even if you don't, pursue a career focus in GIS, it has so much potential to show up in every other field. So you will probably see it even if GIS isn't in your title. So I think it's really cool that these team members get to use it for their job as well. Another thing that we are responsible for is mapping the subdivisions in Harris County. So that's when a parcel of land is divided into smaller parcels for residential, commercial, or industrial use. So we will get a plat here that shows all the individual lots for the subdivision, and we will use our ArcGIS Pro mapping system to locate that original parcel, which is this big one in blue, and you notice it's all vacant land right now. And so we will use coordinate geometry through the traverse tool in ArcGIS Pro and enter, here we are again with meets and bounds, to digitize the subdivision from the information provided on the plat. So we'll enter in all the directions and distances into the traverse tool, and we come up with all these lines on our map that match the plat that we received. So, and here you can see in this aerial images, the houses starting to be developed. So if you live in a neighborhood like this, just know someone is mapping it for you. So then it's all added to the system, and each parcel is given a unique tax number, and a value is assigned to the parcels by the residential staff. And then once again, we can check on GIS Web and Parcel Viewer, which is our external application. And GIS Web is again the internal one. So we'll check and make sure that the subdivision made it over to the application from ArcGIS Pro. And this is what kind of an infographic we made last year that just describes the process of mapping a subdivision. So it's got all the steps there in one little image for you. And I just mentioned Parcel Viewer. So this is an application that is very similar to GIS Web, but it's actually, sorry, let me get that out of the way there. It's actually for the public, so they can use it to view the properties the same way that we do on GIS Web internally. Another cool thing that we can do is make applications that are for other divisions to help them do their job better. So I just want to show a video from Adam, and he's going to tell you a little bit about why this application was created.
Harris County Appraisal District receives service on over 5,000 lawsuits a year. These lawsuits lead to the need to have staff available to review the values that are certified. We do this by writing fee appraisals and making sure that those staff are acting impartial and following appraisal guidelines. We as appraisers sometimes focus more on the physical features of a property, but we knew we needed to do a better job of picking comparables that made sense on a map. We went to our GIS group with this issue, and they began working with us on a solution. They have developed a tool to allow our comparable property query to not just produce a simple result set or grid, but a map that contains our comparables and subject and allows us to then continue the selection process visually with the property information available by simply hovering our pointer over the property. We can add comparables, delete them from our work set, view ortho images, and see property characteristics, all in a much more user-friendly manner than we could before. This new tool gives us the ability to make sure our comparables make sense visually, as well as saves us a lot of time.
Okay. So once again, Adam does not have GIS in his title, but now here he's found himself in need of a GIS tool. So as a GIS team, we get to create that for him. So this just kind of summarizes what he said. We created this application to help make their comparable selection process more efficient and allowing them to view the comparable properties on a map. So how the tool works is they'll locate the subject property. Usually we just use the account number over here in the search bar, and then they'll get a view of all the properties within a certain radius, and they'll also get a list. And then what they can do is use the filters over here on the right to narrow it down by those characteristics, size, age, and all of that. And then they can also use the filters on the right to find new comparable properties to better state their case as to what they have determined for this property. So that's really cool, as the GIS team is getting to make something that our colleagues can use to help their job become easier and more efficient. So that's a proud moment for us. We also use Connect Explorer Eagle View for our aerial imagery. So this is another application that helps us look at the aerial images to do our job. So various divisions have been using this since 2007. So you know, we've been using these for a while. We really love them. So kind of similar to the one I just showed, the comp finder, you'll put in your account number to search by the parcel, and it takes you straight to the parcel that you're looking for. And whenever you view the images, you can view images that show your current location. You can pan around to see the surrounding area, zoom in or out. And we also have early access imagery and orthomosaic images that we use to just appraise a property kind of virtually instead of sending someone there physically. So we can actually use this tool to do our job a little bit more efficiently, because it takes time to go out there and do it, you know, manually. So whenever you zoom in on the properties, you can also kind of rotate it so you can get a better view of the side of the building. And whenever you decide to do that, we also have the dual pane mode. So here you kind of have the eagle's view from just the top, but then you can put your side view right next to it. So it makes it really easy to compare the two. So we really like that option. And like I said, we will use measuring tools to kind of avoid that field visit. And instead of going out there and using a measuring tape, we'll do it here on the imagery to get those calculations. And then we also have the ability to perform analysis and export those results to Excel to then share and do further analysis and really capture that data. So you can also bookmark your location. So if there's an area you know that you'll be working in quite often, you just create a bookmark to take you right there. And you can also set them as your home location. So if it's like a very, you know, long project, you just want to make it your home page. So when you open it up, you're right there. We also use GIS applications like ArcMap and ArcGIS Pro to make some static maps. Here are some that we made in the past. This is probably my favorite thing to do. And we usually always submit one for GIS Day. So keep a lookout for ours next year. So here's some of our past work. And oftentimes, we'll actually use these applications all at once. So throughout the day, I think most of us have all of these open and going back and forth using them in tandem to complete our work. So I do want to show another video from Jose.
Hi, I'm Joe Alvarado. I'm a land analyst at the Harris County Appraisal District. Just going to talk a little bit how we use GIS tools on a daily basis. This is GIS Web. We're able to pull in a lot of general information. We use this every day whenever we have to revalue areas or review something. We can pull in neighborhoods. This is one of the neighborhoods downtown. We can also pull in floodways and floodplains. We also have easements, which will be indicated here by the red line. This is one of the railroad tracks. We can also pull in a lot of account-specific information, such as count number, land area, land value, neighborhood. And then we can also pull in jurisdictions like the utility district, city boundaries. We can pull in land value, make sure we're treating properties equitably. Let me zoom in that way you can see. You kind of see we have land values. We also have land sales, take a view of what kind of market trends are occurring. Now, if we want a more detailed view of the property, we use pictometry. We can take a view from different angles. We can also measure like the height and the length and area of properties. It's very useful, saves us a lot of time. Otherwise, we'd have to measure everything by hand with a measuring tape. And then the third tool I'm going to talk about is ArcMap. This one's a little bit more difficult to use. You have to have a little more know-how. It's a little bit slower, but it's like the Swiss Army knife of GIS tools. This is one of the maps that we used not too long ago. We were actually setting all the flood control district easements at the same value, and with ArcMap, we were able to pull them all in and see how much of the property was being affected by it. So that's just a little brief introductory on how we use GIS tools. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, so that was Jose's video, and I just want to say again that he is not on the GIS team and he uses GIS technology in his job. So if you guys can apply GIS to whatever your passion is, whatever your job is, you will be miles ahead of your peers, and you'll just be more productive because GIS makes everything better. So I just want to thank all of my colleagues that helped me put this together, give credit where it's due, and open it up to any questions you guys might have. I think we're almost out of time, but if there's any questions, put them in the chat, and please don't forget to fill out the survey on the sessions page where you joined. There is going to be some prizes for those who complete the survey, so make sure you do that. Okay, so I appreciate everything, and I think that we'll let everyone head over to the closings coming up soon. So thank you guys.